When he does speak, he asks me how I'm feeling, if I've been stressed, what I've been up to lately. I think he's a therapist or something. That's the only thing that explains the outfit and the journal and his way of speaking. I don't want to ask him. Sometimes I feel like if I spend too much time near him, I might die. After a few minutes in the basement with him, it starts to feel like the walls closing in on me. I begin to struggle for oxygen, even though I'm perfectly fine. I get dizzy and disoriented, and Sebastian just sits there watching me and writing in his journal. Sometimes I think he enjoys this. It's almost like he knows when I'm going to go down into the basement and stands off to the side waiting for me when I walk down the steps. I do my best to ignore him. One time I asked Beau about him, thinking that maybe he had seen Sebastian in the house at one point, but he didn't know who I was talking about. He said he didn't remember a ghost in the basement, although he also has no idea about Talia, which leads me to believe that the ghosts can't, or simply don't, interact with each other. As time goes on, I become more and more unsettled by Sebastian's presence in my basement. 2 days ago, I went down there to do laundry and didn't see him. I thought I would be relieved at that, but somehow it made me feel worse. And since I have a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach, any small sound in the house makes me nervous, and I feel like he's going to appear randomly behind me as I'm washing my face in the morning or brushing my teeth right before bed. I worked up the nerve to go back down into the basement today, just hoping he was still down there just for my peace of mind. I prefer knowing where he is. I crept down into the basement and noticed, right away, that it was a lot colder than usual, and there was somehow more light down here, even though I hadn't flipped the light switch on yet. When I got to the bottom of the steps, I realized why this was. The door in the far corner of the basement, near the couch, was wide open, letting in the cold wind and the light from outside. I walked over to the door and looked around the small area outside, walking up the 3 steps and up onto the snow-covered sidewalk, looking around the backyard. There was no one around, and it was completely silent, except for the random rustle of leaves. I wrapped my arms around myself and checked the area once more before deciding to turn around and go back inside. As I stepped back, something crunched underneath the weight of my foot. I looked down and saw that there was something on the sidewalk, hidden underneath a bit of snow. I bent down and swiped a bit of the show away to see what I had stepped on. I didn't realize what it was at first, but once I did, I felt my face flush, and I suddenly didn't feel cold anymore. I felt like I was standing in 100-degree weather, and my palms and forehead felt sweaty. I stared down at the familiar golden pen as the sunlight bounced off of it. I looked around again, suddenly feeling like I was being watched, and I ran back down the steps, leaving the pen on the sidewalks. I went back into the basement and shut the door behind me, pushing the couch in front of it. I reached out to slide the chain lock into place, but I realized that the chain was gone, and there was no way to lock the door. I raced back upstairs and closed the door to the basement, locking it and wedging one of the kitchen chairs under the doorknob. I looked inside every room in the house for him, but he wasn't there. I closed all the blinds and ran into the living room last, walking through Beau to shut the blinds in the window that he was standing in front of. "What are doing?" he asked. "Remember the ghost in the basement that I asked you about?" Well, it turns out he's not a ghost. He's real. There was a real stranger in my house almost every day for the last 2 years, and I just figured that out today, I replied. "Why did you think he was a ghost?" Beau asked. "Well, because there are already 2 ghosts in this house. So I thought, what's one more?" I turned around as I heard the sound of the mail slot closing from the outside and something falling in. I slowly walked towards the slot and lifted it up. Sebastian's journal was in there. I reached it and pulled it out carefully, opening it slowly, expecting something to jump out at me. The journal was filled with short entries that started back when I first moved in and saw Sebastian for the first time. There were hundreds of entries, some of them a few sentences long, and some of them a lot longer and detailed, but all about me, what I was wearing that day, what I did, gross fantasies of Sebastian and me in the laundry room. It went on and on.